What up, Cucks? It's your boy the Hater. And I wanted to do a video based on what I saw on the last and several last few episodes of AEW Dynamite. So the ass boys, as they used to be called, Billy Gunn's kids, who I think actually might have like an NXT level future. Like they're gonna go to WWE, goes without saying. But these guys have now been paired up with Juice Robinson, who I think is the worst wrestler I've ever seen in my life. At least the worst wrestler in that position. And Jay White to form the group Bullet Club Dork Edition. These guys are nerds, okay? They're now called the Bang Bang Club, or Bang Bang Gang, I suppose. And this is the worst thing I've ever seen. First of all, Jay White, here's how you know this guy is just a tiny human, right? Like, I think he's built at like 190 pounds. He's 145 at most. When he comes out, just look at his waist, right? It's like, look at his waist. Like, I could grab his entire body with two hands and just throw him over my head if I wanted to, right? And I'm not even that big, you know what I'm saying? But this is a very small man. And the fact that this guy is presented as some sort of threat to become world champion is a joke, all right? Juice Robinson, same thing with him. I mean, he's not that small, but this guy's just a jobber. I mean, there's nothing there, right? This gimmick, really, if it's even that, this faction really shows how bad this group is and how bad the individuals in this group are, except for Billy Gunn's kids, who really are just following along, right? This is just a stepping stone for them. But they do all these like exaggerated handgun gestures, and they just look like nerds. Like there's nothing cool about them at all, right? That's the main thing. There was a part where Juice Robinson, I fell asleep during the Battle Royal, obviously, but Juice Robinson, he's like on the ropes and he keeps like pointing the guns, the finger guns in the air and like doing pelvic thrusts. And I'm like, dude, like if this guy did this in high school, like everyone would be like, what the hell are you doing, you fucking weirdo? Like he doesn't have the charisma required. Like if Shawn Michaels did that, it'd be like, oh, that's fucking cool as shit. Because that's what charisma is, right? Shawn Michaels can act like a girl basically, but you know he's not. You know he's like obviously a pussy, man, right? And he's out there getting laid, you know what I'm saying? But other people just don't have it, right? Adam Cole doesn't have it. All those dorks that are in the Adam Cole segments, like Roderick Strong and those two other guys, they don't have it at all. You know what I'm saying? They're not cool. And the same thing with, I mean, Jay White is just another level of embarrassing. But the same thing with almost anyone in AEW. Like, the idea that MJF is considered to be this great heel is just laughable. Like, this guy, he's like 5'6" probably in real life. They're all tiny. Right? I know that their build is like 5'11". He's not 5'11", right? He's like, I think Jericho is like even taller than him. Like, he's just a tiny dude, right? And it's like, if you had Kane, like imagine this. Imagine if Kane came back and was in the ring with these guys. Like, you'd be like, oh, this must be one of those matches where Kane has to fight 5 jobbers and he's going to stack them on top of each other and pin them with one hand, right? After 5 chokeslams. That's what you'd think. You wouldn't think like, oh, this guy's MJF, the guy that everyone thinks is like the best wrestler in the world, you know? Ridiculous, right? But nothing has really solidified this as much as the Bang Bang Gang, right? Now, I would like to extend a comparison. I mean, these guys, like, I think it speaks for itself. You see them, they're just complete jobbers. Like, they don't have anything going for them. It's like, you know, you see Jay White and he cuts these horrible promos, right? And him and MJF are just going back and forth in this cringe fest. MJF is calling him tofu. It's like, as if MJF is like this complicated character. MJF is also bland and boring. Just because he comes out and says this town sucks, you know, doesn't mean that he's good on the mic. And it sure as hell doesn't mean that MJF is charismatic. I reject that wholeheartedly. I've never looked at MJF and thought to myself, wow, this guy's charismatic. He's funny looking. He's got like a weird face. He's got a horrible haircut, right? And his jokes are lame, right? It's like this guy doesn't make people laugh in real life. Sure, he makes neckbeards laugh because he's like the neckbeard that got out of neckbearddom, right? He's the neckbeard that got to date the cheerleader at one point because he worked out a little bit and developed like a personality that's at least baseline on the high school level, right? That's why people like him, right? It's not like Shawn Michaels. Let's just use Shawn Michaels as an example, as a rolling example, right? It's like if you watch wrestling in the Attitude Era, right? And even then, when Shawn Michaels would come back as commissioner, like you watch and you're like, wow, like that guy's so cool, like nobody's as cool as him, right? You know, it's almost an unattainable standard to become Shawn Michaels, right? Like almost no men can ever become Shawn Michaels, like in terms of being that charismatic and that cool, right? But a lot of men are MJF, and a lot of men would just dominate MJF in any setting. Like if MJF went to the bar that I would hang out at when I was in law school, right, which was like a bar in Newark, New Jersey, you know what I'm saying? Like they would like humiliate him. He'd leave crying, right? Because he doesn't have what it takes. You know what I'm saying? He's a soft dude, I can tell. But that's neither here nor there. No problem with that. The issue that I have, it's not with MJF, and honestly, it's not even with the Bang Bang Club, right? And it's not even with the small wrestler. It's just with the lowering of standards, right? Now, the Bang Bang Club is the conduit through which I'm making this point because they are the most egregious of all of these scenarios, right? They are the absolute worst thing, in my opinion, that I've seen in a long time in wrestling, right? It's almost like when Kevin Owens debuted, right? And he had that aura, right? That mystique of the indies, right? Then when it's time to actually deliver, we all learned real quick that he doesn't really have anything. Like, Kevin Owens doesn't have any talents. Like, he's not good on the mic. He's not charismatic. He's okay in the ring, but like, you know, a lot of people are okay in the ring. You know, Noam Dar is okay in the ring, but nobody cares about him. And in my opinion, Noam Dar has more charisma and personality than Kevin Owens. This to me was like the nail in the coffin was put when there was like a live promo. It was Jericho and Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens just completely stumbled his words. Like, take the mic, Chris. And then Chris Jericho had to like save the segment, right? And that right there showed exactly why they put Jericho with Kevin Owens. Because it's like, he needs someone to take the lead, right? He's not good enough to take the lead. And since then, really, literally since that moment, right? Like, he's done nothing. I can't remember any promo that Kevin Owens has cut. I know he's cut some, but he's never cut a good one, right? He's never cut a memorable one. He's just lame. He's generic, right? Sami Zayn is just another level of degenerate. But even Sami Zayn makes Jay White look like Batista, right? Jay White he's just this like tiny person. Even MJF was like, who's this skinny guy? Like, it's like if MJF calls you skinny, like if a 5'7", 5'6" guy calls you skinny, it's like, dude, how small are you, right? It's like, he looks like a complete cruiserweight. The idea that Jay White can believably be pushed forward as a heavyweight is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There has to be a limit. I get it, man. People were saying the same things for a long, long time. The Bang Bang Club really is like the lamest thing ever. It's like, I've never seen four men try to be cool as much as they have. And I get it. Part of the gimmick is that they're kind of like tryhards, right? But it doesn't matter. They can't even do that well, right? They're such tryhards that looking like tryhards is hard for them. You understand me? Now, I'd like to deviate the attention from Jay White and friends to something else that happened on SmackDown, just as a point of comparison. Carlito is back. You know what I'm saying? Now, Carlito, I always thought he was a little overrated when I watched. He was fun, but he wasn't anything crazy, right? He's not like super charismatic either. He's all right, you know? Like, he's on the level of like MVP. Like, they're pretty good on the mic, right? They're pretty charismatic. But, like, they're not John Cena, they're not Randy Orton, they're not Batista, they're not Booker T, right? Like, it's not even close. So, you know, they're going to get the careers that they get. Now, when Carlito came back, first of all, I understand he's standing next to, like, Zelina Vega and Rey Mysterio, who are, like, probably the two smallest people, men and women, on the roster. But he's also standing next to tiny Santos Escobar, right? Carlito just towers over the entire LWO, right? Carlito, let's Google real quick Carlito's height. Right? I bet you he's built to be like 6'1", maybe. Let's see here. Carlito, WWE height. So if you Google that, you get 5'10". Carlito's 5'10". Carlito looks like he's 3 feet taller than Santos Escobar, right? And Carlito, back in the day, was a guy who was too small. Right? Remember that? Remember when Carlito was like the smallest guy in the mid-card scene? Like the minimum for mid-carder back then was Carlito, right? Most people in the mid-card were like RVD, Orton, Shelton Benjamin, you know what I mean? Like real people, real men, right? Now, I'm not saying that if you're 5'10", you're not a real man. I'm not even 5'10", you know, so it doesn't make any difference. But the point is that this is wrestling, right? People like me are not going to be a wrestler. I mean, you know, like I'm not a giant, right? Carlito's not a giant. We're about the same, well, not the same size, because let's be honest, Carlito's pretty jacked. You know what I'm saying? Your boy ain't that jacked. But in terms of height and in terms of posture, we're about the same size. But Carlito, compared to these other guys, looks like Big Show, right? It was Carlito next to the interviewer, and it was like, he was like twice her size. And this is supposed to be a guy who's 5'10". Actually, I'm probably bigger than Carlito because he's supposed to be 5'10", so he's probably like 5'8". You know what I mean? 5'7". I'm probably bigger than him. But let's just say that he's 5'10", right? Like, if he's 5'10", and he's as wide and muscular as he is now, right? In what world is MJF a heavyweight? If Carlito, who was, I mean, I don't want to say a cruiserweight, but eventually when him and Primo started tag teaming, he was a cruiserweight. He was like he would wrestle like a cruiserweight, he would do high-flying moves, and he's like twice as big as MJF, right? And I'm supposed to believe that MJF is going to come to WWE and he's going to believably take on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns would murder this guy, right? He would destroy him. It wouldn't literally, if Roman Reigns and MJF fought in a fight, Roman Reigns would beat him probably in under 1 minute, right? And I understand, Roman Reigns would also beat Rey Mysterio in under 1 minute. But MJF ain't Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is a legend, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that the level of wrestlers, especially in AEW, but elsewhere, right? It really makes you think, like, how small are these guys, right? You see, like, Carmelo Hayes, right? Who is okay. I know people already like overrating him. That was the best guy ever. No, he's not, right? He's just like cruiserweight. He's just another Cedric Alexander or Mustafa Ali in the making. It's not like he has any other attributes. But the point is, he's also a small guy, right? I get it. Not everyone can be big. But how about take some big people and have them squash people like Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, right? The fact that Von Wagner, who I'm not saying is anything special, but Von Wagner is out there jobbing to Kyle O'Reilly is absurd. It's just absurd, right? Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record up in this piece, but the point is what the point is. And that is that the Bang Bang Club lacks all fundamentals to be wrestlers. And they lack all the fundamentals to be any kind of wrestler, let alone be in the main events. I mean, come on, guys. We need to raise our standards. You know what I'm saying?